So we have a question in which all the parts have powers or indices in them. And there are lots of laws of indices or power laws, whichever you want to call them. But I'm not going to write them all down. I'll just write down the ones we need at the time. So let's look at this first question. 36 to the power of a half. Well, there is a law that covers this, and that is that a to the half is equal to, well, it's another way of writing the square root of a. If you think about multiplying it by itself, on the right hand side, root a times root a is a, and on the left hand side, a to the half times a to the half, well, you know you add the powers, and a half plus a half is 1. So that's a to the 1. So it does work. Right, so this is the square root of 36, and the square root of 36 is 6. There we go. That's the first one. The second one, in some ways, is even easier. There is a power law that covers this, and it's one that people often get confused about, but it's a very straightforward one, and that is that a to the 0, as long as a isn't equal to 0 itself, a to the 0 is always equal to 1. And so 23 to the 0, we can just write that down as 1 as our answer. And now this one's a little bit more complicated. 27 to the minus 2/3. Okay, well, let's break this down. The first complicated bit in here is the negative sign in the power. But we have a rule for that, of course, in that a to the minus p is just 1 over a to the p. So the minus sign just means 1 over, or if you want to be really fancy, the reciprocal of. So this is 1 over 27 to the 2/3. Now I want to split up that 2/3 because by itself it's not entirely clear what it means. And the law I'm going to use is the one that ends up with a to the p times q. And I hope you remember that that's a to the p to the power of q. So I'm going to split this up as 1 over 27 to the 2 times 1/3. And if I do that, you can see then that if I call the 2 p and the 3rd q, what I've got here is I've got 1 over 27 to the power of 1/3 squared. I think I've actually written p and q the other way around, but that doesn't matter. The reason I've done that is because it's going to make it slightly easier in the next step. Now what about this third business? Well, earlier on we had a to the half was the square root of a. Well, a to the 3rd is the cube root of a. And in fact, a to the 1 over n is the nth root of a. So, do we know what the cube root of 27 is? Well, let's just remind ourselves of the cubes of various things. 2 cubed is 8. 3 cubed is 27. We could go on, but we don't need to, because we've now got 1 over 3, that's the cube root of 27, squared. Okay, so 27 to the power of 1/3 is the cube root of 27, which is 3. And I've put that in there. And 1 over 3 squared is 1 over 9. And that would appear to be that.